Buried beneath the golden sands of ancient Egypt is the story of a boy who briefly wore a king's crown then vanished like a whisper in the wind. Shmenkare, the young pharaoh, ruled during one of Egypt's most turbulent times, the Amarna period, a chapter filled with religious revolution, political upheaval, and mysterious disappearances. His name appears in broken inscriptions, forgotten wine jars, and half-finished reliefs, yet his life remains one of the greatest puzzles of Egyptology. Was he a son of the heretic king Akhenaten, a brother, a shadowy co-ruler before Tutankhamun? So today let's journey through what we know and don't know about Shmenkare, a young monarch caught between faith and power, tradition and reform. With each artifact and theory, we come closer to discovering the boy behind the crown and the truth he took to his silent tomb. Names, titles, and the Amarna context. When Smenkhkare climbed to the throne, he took the throne name on Keparure Wanre, meaning living are the manifestations of Re, Caesar of the revenues of Re. His birth name, Smenkhkare, read vigorous is the soul of Re, and both names tied him directly to the sun disk Aten, the one god elevated above all others by his probable father, Akhenaten. This was the Amarna period, 1353 to 1336 BCE, when Egypt's capital shifted from Thebes to a brand new city on the Nile's east bank called Akhenaten. Today, Amarna and all temples to gods like Amun, Ptah, and Mut were closed. Akhenaten's 17-year revolution upended centuries of polytheistic tradition. Priests lost their power and income, art turned naturalistic with elongated heads and intimate family scenes, and the pharaoh himself appeared worshipping the Aten in open-air sanctuaries. Into this turbulent world stepped Shmenkare, first as co-regent, then as sole king, only to vanish before the winds of change could settle. Early life and origins. No ancient records name Smenkare's mother. He appears only as king's son Smenkhkare before taking the throne. Two main ideas compete, that he was the son of Akhenaten by a wife like Kia, or that he was a younger brother of Akhenaten, son of Imhotep III and Queen T. But neither idea has firm proof. A few clay seal impressions from Amarna refer to the house of Smenkhkare, but they give no family details. Whichever theory is right, Smenkhkare grew up at Akhenaten, surrounded by royal youngsters. He trained in palace schools, learned to read hieroglyphs, practiced ritual music and dance, and witnessed the daily offerings to Aten in the great Aten temple. By adolescence, he knew how to dress in royal linen, wear the twin crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt, and stand before the holy fire in open courts. His training prepared him for a sudden rise to power, though his exact age remains a guess, likely between 12 and 16 when he first appeared as co-regent. Family ties and royal marriage. Now, as soon as he claimed co-regency, Smenkhkare married Amarna, the oldest daughter of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. She held the title Great Royal Wife under Shmenkare, the same rank once held by Nefertiti herself. Reliefs carved in Amarna show the two sharing a single hide-back throne and wearing matching uraeus cobras on their crowns. Their gesture, presenting intents together to Aten, stretched their equal status in both government and religion. Nefertiti herself faded from the scene late in Akhenaten's reign. Nonetheless, Smenkhkare and Amarna's marriage formed a clear union of king and queen just when Egypt needed unity after years of religious upheaval. Rise to co-regency. Egyptian kings often crowned heirs as co-regents to ensure smooth succession. In year 14 of Akhenaten's 17-year rule, a simple graffito scratched by workmen at Amarna mentions His Majesty Akhenaten alongside king's son Shmenkare. This marked the first appearance of Shmenkare wielding authority. Tomb reliefs of nobles like Marire II show Shmenkare wearing the blue Keprish crown, distributing rewards and offering incense to Aten, in scenes almost identical to those of Akhenaten himself. Moreover, wine jar labels stamped Year 1, Wine of the House of Shmenkare, and a second docking reading of the House of Shmenkare deceased, suggest he reigned independently for at least 1 year, and possibly died in that same year. Led armies or wrote diplomatic letters to Canaan or Mitanni, the famed Amarna letters, as these duties fell to Akhenaten alone. Shmenkare's cool rule immersed him in palace ritual, temple administration, demanding tribute from noble estates. Sole reign as pharaoh. Akhenaten then disappeared from monuments and letters. His tomb at Amarna was never completed. In this vacuum, Smenkhkare became sole ruler, taking the full throne name on Keparure Wanre. Yet signs of his solo power remain scarce. Only one stela is firmly dated to year 1 of his reign. No inscription mentions year 2 under Ankeparure. Fragments of small chapels, unfinished reliefs, and a few wine jar labels stamped with his cartouche are the only direct evidence. One desert quarry chapel bears half-carved images of the king's crown and name, but work stopped abruptly, as if ordered by a sudden death or political shift. No major temple, no grand statue, no large building project can be linked to him. Moreover, he ruled at a time when temples to other gods lay closed and priests were being reined in. Akhenaten's focus on Aten had cut the income and power of older priesthoods, and Smenkhkare inherited this tense situation. Religious policies. His inherited faith was radical. Aten alone as state god. Released from Amarna show him and Akhhenaten lifting the Ankh symbol to the sun disk, whose rays end in tiny hands offering life. This iconography derived from his father's reforms. However, small traces suggest he may have softened his stance. A few stelae found in Thebes bear secret offerings to Amun and Mut made in the name of Ankaparure. Priests might have carved these in hidden niches, hoping a kinder king would restore their temples. Official seals from his court omit the earlier hostility of other gods. If Shmenkare intended a gradual return to polytheism, he had little time and fewer supporters than Tutankhamun later enjoyed. Nonetheless, these subtle shifts hint that he sensed the need to head religious rifts before they broke the kingdom. Administration and daily life. As a young king, Shmenkare relied on seasoned courtiers. His vizier, probably Nakhtam, handled daily affairs. Grain shipments from the fertile Nile Delta, tax rolls, and temple allotments all passed through the vizier's desk. Military officers in Nubia guarded valuable gold mines, while small garrisons in Canaan kept trade routes open. Court scribes filed letters, though no Amarna letters bear Shmenkare's seal either because correspondence waned or because later erasures removed his name. At court, the young pharaoh held regular audiences in open courtyards under banners of the sun disk. Noble visitors wore linen robes, brought gifts, and knelt in salute. Festival days brought music, dance, and feasts to honor Aten at dawn and dusk. The king and queen led processions, their crowns gleaming in the rising sun. Though small in scale compared to Akhenaten's grand ceremonies, these rituals maintained the flow of royal power and kept nobles loyal. Behind the scenes, officials balanced demands from Aten zealots and old god loyalists. Promises of restored priest posts and quiet tolerance kept the kingdom from splintering, if only for a little while. Relationship with Nefertiti and Akhhenaten. Moreover, Shmenkare's rule intertwined with the fates of two royal women, his wife Akhhenaten and the vanished queen Nefertiti. Akhhenaten stands by his side in reliefs, seated on a shared throne or in joint offering scenes. Their blue crowns make them a united pair. And Nefertiti, once Akhenaten's chief queen, disappears from art and text late in his reign. Some scholars argue she became co-regent under the name Nefer-Nefer-Tuaten, and may even have ruled as pharaoh briefly. If so, Shmenkare followed not directly from his father, but from his stepmother in the seat of power. Others say the inscriptions of Nefer-Nefer-Nuaten refer to Akhhenaten after taking a new royal name. The tiny differences in hieroglyph shapes and title order become crucial clues. King lists later erase or confuse both names, making it hard to follow who held power when. The tight circle of father, mothers, daughter, and son shows how royal women in Amarna could wear crowns almost as high as the king's. Their shared rule highlights the central role of family in Amarna politics and religion. Death in the missing tomb. Now, no ancient record announces Shmenkare's death. His name simply vanishes after a single year one stela. No pyramid, no valley tomb, no mortuary temple bears his full titles. Archaeologists' long-eyed tomb WV-23 in the western valley of the Kings. Work on that rock-cut tomb stopped midway, leaving chambers half-carved. A few calcite jars stamped with Ankaparure bear his name. Yet no burial gods, no mask, no Ushapti, no canopic jars lie inside. The abrupt halt suggests builders abandoned the project suddenly, as if the king died or lost power. Another clue is KV-55, a cache of disturbed mummies and mixed artifacts. Early researchers linked its lone male mummy to Shmenkare based on jewelry styles. Later DNA tests showed the KV-55 individual was the father of Tutankhamun, making him more likely Akhenaten or the shadowy Nefer-Nefer-Tuaten. Some still argue he could be Shmenkare, but no definitive proof exists. Additionally, new methods like ground-penetrating radar and satellite imaging now scan the valley's hidden nooks. Some teams return yearly to re-excavate WV-23 and search desert dunes near Amarna. Each mag blade of sand might conceal the young pharaoh's last home, but until a firm discovery, his final rest remains one of Egypt's greatest archaeological mysteries. Cultural legacy. Though he ruled only briefly, Shmenkare inspires modern writers, filmmakers, and game designers. Historical novels paint him as a tragic youth caught between radical faith and political reality. Documentaries dramatize his rise from co-regent to ghost king. Museums display his stamped jars and relief fragments alongside the glories of Tutankhamun's treasures, a sharp contrast that reminds visitors how fame can slip away. Also, video games set in ancient Egypt sometimes let players step into Shmenkare's sandals, choosing between strict Atenism and hidden restoration of Amun. University courses on Amarna include him as a key case study in dynastic fragility and the power of religious reform. To youngsters, he's an example of what happens when a kingdom places too much faith in a single deity and then waits on a boy king to fix the broken balance. In every telling, he reminds us that history often hinges on moments too small to be recorded in stone. Moments of health crisis, a palace of intrigue, of a boy forced to wear the weight of a broken nation's hopes. Conclusion. So, Smenkare's reign may have lasted only a heartbeat, but this story casts a long shadow over Egypt's history. From youth co-regent under Akhenaten, from sole rule as Ankhenaten Wanre, to disappearance without clear tomb, his life blends fact and mystery. He cemented the Amarna experiment with a final flicker of Aten worship, then quietly sowed seeds of religious healing that Tutankhamun would water. His partnership with Mary Tatan and tangled ties to Nefertiti show how royal women shape power as much as kings did. Archaeology and science chase his traces in half-finished tombs and desert sands. Each fragment found helps complete the picture of this young pharaoh who carried Egypt's hope for just a moment. Though he vanished from records before his second year passed, Smenkhkare taught us that even the shortest reign can leave a lasting question. The story urges us to look beyond grand monuments to the small pieces, jar labels, seal impressions, secret stelae that keep the past alive. The young pharaoh still waits beneath the sand, silent but not forgotten, until the day a new discovery brings him back into the light. Now we ask you, what are your thoughts about Shmenkare, the young pharaoh? Share with us in the comment section below, and if you like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content.